Before we get to the show for today, I want to thank our sponsor, Anchor.fm. As you probably have heard by now, SportsWire has moved to Anchor.fm for its podcast hosting and distribution. It's the easiest way to make a podcast, and let me explain why. Main reason is that it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer, and then Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on any platform there is. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, anywhere. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So take it from me, Vinny Apicella from the Sports Wire. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to the most electrifying podcast in all of internet radio today. You are listening to the Sports Wire. Today is Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019. My name is Vinny Apicella, and I am broadcasting from a very snowy West Hartford, Connecticut. It seems like this 2-day storm has had a bigger impact on it from day 2, or night 2, I should say. And the snow is still coming down. Originally it was supposed to stop around 3 a.m., but now it's saying it might not stop till 7 a.m., which is going to make the commute going home, for me at least, much more treacherous. Anyways, I want to thank you for listening and downloading and subscribing to the Sports Wire podcast that we now power through Anchor.fm. And wherever you may find it, whether it's iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever. I want to thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. I haven't gotten any feedback, but I'd like some feedback about my Mount Rushmore of female wrestlers that I had recorded last night or yesterday and put out yesterday. Today is going to be another Mount Rushmore. Today is going to be my Mount Rushmore of tag teams. And of course, I'm not saying I'm only going to put 2 tag teams up there because there are 4 heads. I'll put 4 tag teams up there. And, I'll tell you why. All Elite Wrestling Dynamite hasn't uploaded to On Demand yet on Sling, so I still haven't been able to watch it from last week. Which kind of sucks, but whatever, it is what it is. Anyways, I do want to point out the ratings came in today, or yesterday I should say, on Monday, for NXT and AEW from last Wednesday, and boy howdy, the tails show the ratings. NXT beat out AEW by over 100,000 viewers. NXT was over 800,000, and AEW was at about 690,000. So they've been dropping every week since they started. And, people are saying, oh, but they still won in the 18 to 49 demographic. You know what, regardless, who cares? They're losing in the ratings. But it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And if they turn things around, maybe they'll get better. We'll see. Anywho, getting on to my Mount Rushmore of tag teams. Again, there's so many tag teams out there, so many great tag teams out there, and you could literally choose 10, 20, of the greatest tag teams out there. But, I'm going to, and the way I'm going to determine mine is not necessarily how many times a certain team won won the tag team championships in whatever company they've been working in or what have you. Because like I said, it goes a lot deeper than that. How much they, you know, related to the audience, how much they, you know, it was basically the same things I was talking about with the women, and how you could talk about them and everything. You know, longevity. You know, that's a good one too. You know, and what they brought to the industry. All right. So, anyways, getting on with it. My first tag team on my Mount Rushmore of tag teams is the Dudley Boys. That's right, Bubba Ray and Devon, starting out in ECW as quote-unquote half-brothers from Dudleyville, and in the actual Dudley stable with Sign Guy Dudley and Dances with Dudleys and Big Dick Dudley and Joel Gertner, who I happen to think that maybe he was the patriarch of the Dudley family, but that's neither here nor there. But yes, the Dudley Boys. Most decorated tag team in the world in history. They've held every major tag team championship from New Japan, ECW, TNA, WCW when they were in the WWE, and the WWE Tag Team Championships, and I believe New Japan, maybe not New Japan. Not Ring of Honor, but you know what? Bubba Ray is still going. Devon Dudley is now working as an agent behind the scenes as a producer for the WWE, but Bully Ray is still going strong in House of Hardcore and Ring of Honor, you know, and they had that, you know, year-long run a couple years ago in the WWE. You know, they're definitely the top tag team. I mean, everything was fluid with them. You know, everything was just so smoothly set for them. Absolutely fantastic. The Dudley Boys were, you know, and then even when the whole Black Lives Matter movement came out, this was while the Dudleys were still in the WWE towards the end of Barack Obama's reign of terror on our country. You know, when Black Lives Matter came out, the Dudley Boys, you know, held up the sign that says, his life matter, you know, all lives matter, not just one or the, you know, not just Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, but, you know, whatever. The fact is, I really, truly enjoy the Dudley Boys' work. Their 3D was just an awesome move, and their longevity. I mean, Devon may have retired officially, but you know, Bubba Ray is still going, like I said. They are WWE Hall of Famers. They also helped to bring tag team wrestling to the forefront back during the Attitude Era with Edge and Christian and the Hardys doing the ladder matches and the TLC matches, and they put their bodies on the line every time they went out to do it. So for that, I have to say that the Dudley Boys definitely up there on my Mount Rushmore of tag teams. Okay, second tag team, the Rock and Roll Express. That's right, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. Now I'm going to be a little bit sketchier with the details with them because they started before I got into, you know, they started in the NWA in Memphis, and, you know, they were big in the Smoky Mountain and everything. They've had a very, very short, tiny run in the WWE. And quite honestly, they, you know, I didn't get to see a lot of them. I grew up with the WWF on syndication. We didn't get NWA syndication where I lived, other than, you know, on TBS, and I've hardly ever watched that. But just their contributions to the industry in tag team wrestling, and they're also still going on, going strong. They were just on AEW. They were just on NWA. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson are the epitome of tag team wrestling. You know, even during the 80s, Ricky Morton had a pretty decent singles run in trying to dethrone Ric Flair as the NWA World Champion. I don't think that would have worked out anyways, but they date back to the 70s and they're still going strong. Jim Cornette inducted them into the WWE Hall of Fame a few years ago, and what could you say about the Rock and Roll Express? They had their memorable feuds with the Midnight Express and the Fabulous Ones and the Fantastics and Jim Court and the Heavenly Bodies in WCW, Smoky Mountain, the WWE. Just one of the more decorated tag teams. Multiple time NWA tag team champions, multiple times Smoky Mountain tag team champions. Never held the WWE tag team championship. But overall, they're still going strong. I think they're got to be in their 60s, maybe 70s, but they're still wrestling every weekend. So the Rock and Roll Express are up there. Third tag team on my Mount Rushmore of tag teams. And now it's to the point where it's starting to get a little more difficult. Okay? But I've got to go with the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, the Hawk and Animal. And I'm not going to take into effect when Droz was with them or Animal and Heidenreich and, when after Hawk passed away. But I will say that the Road Warriors were the big monster babyface team, and you would think that they would have been heels because they were so big they could beat down their opponents all the time. But no, they got their Road Warrior pop. They actually have a pop named for them, the Road Warrior pop. Whenever somebody's music hits and they get that huge ovation from their entrance, it's going down. Something is starting. With the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, they were just two guys from Minnesota that knew how to fight, and with Paul Ellering and when they had their brief run in the WWE. I don't know if they necessarily, really gelled. I mean, they are WWE Hall of Famers, multiple time WWE Tag Team Champions, multiple time WCW Tag Team Champions, NWA Tag Team Champions. They did win the New Japan Tag Team Champions, and even separately with other partners, they won the New Japan IWGP Tag Team Championships. I don't think they ever won the AWA, though. But they are a very decorated tag team. They never went to TNA. Maybe they showed up there briefly, but nothing major in terms of a run there. But Animal did come back to the WWE in the mid-2000s with Heidenreich as his new tag team partner, which was obviously not the same as Hawk and Animal. But either way, you all know the Laurinaitis family are big in wrestling and sports. Besides Joe, who is Animal, John Laurinaitis is the former EVP of Talent Relations for the WWE, former general manager of Raw and SmackDown, former dynamic dude with Shane Douglas. Don't worry, they're not on, that team was not on the Mount Rushmore. Which was horrible as a fart in church. But, either way, the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, are up there. And then the fourth team, and again, here's where it gets dicey, because you can think about it all you want. You can justify it however you want. Me personally, it's like you want to look at some of the tag teams, maybe the Attitude Era. Maybe you look at a team like, Pat Patterson and Ray Stevens. I didn't watch them. They're before my time. How about Patterson or Ray Stevens and Nick Bockwinkel? Again, before my time. You can also, you could look at a team from the Attitude Era like the APA. Short run, but effective, because look at where JBL is. Look who his tag team partner was, Ron Simmons. But they're more for their singles careers. The APA was a great team, but they're both known for their individual singles careers. New Age Outlaws, part of DX, but again, short-lived, and neither one of them could really do great on their own. The Outsiders, Hall and Nash, they revolutionized the industry with the NWO. But again, I think they were more decorated on their own when they were in WWE, as Razor Ramon and Diesel. But here we go. The fourth tag team on my Mount Rushmore of tag teams is going to be Harlem Heat. That's right, Booker T and Stevie Ray. Now, Booker T did go on after Harlem Heat to have a much better singles career, but they are the most decorated African American tag team, and they're Hall of Famers together as a tag team as well. Just one of those teams that really changed the way you look at tag teams, and Booker T and Stevie Ray in WCW, because that's the only time they were together in Global as it wasn't Harlem Heat, it was something else. But then they went over to WCW, and originally, that's why I don't get what I don't understand. Their individual names are Kane and Cole. I don't know which one was which. How they got to Booker T and Stevie Ray from Kane and Cole, I don't know. So, again, that's kind of weird. But Harlem Heat, enjoyable to watch. Booker T was obviously the one that spun out of that team and went on to be a multiple-time world champion and a Hall of Famer in his own right. But and again, it's going to be controversial because it leaves off the Hart Foundation. It leaves off the Brainbusters or the Horsemen, Arn and Tully or Arn and Ole or whatever. Again, and it leaves off like Power and Glory, Hercules, the Revival. I'm going to be honest with you, I would never put the Young Bucks up there, because to me they're not even close to anybody on the list. They're wannabe Rock and Roll Express. That's the way I'll put it. But definitely great teams. A lot of great teams in history. I wish they would do better with their tag teams. You got the New Day. Where are the Usos? You've got the AOP now, who can be fantastic if they book it right. So we'll see how tag teams go forward. I really like the Revival. I really liked the Undisputed Era. So there's a lot of good tag teams out there that can still make an impact on the industry. But for right now, that's my Mount Rushmore of tag teams. The Dudley Boys, the Road Warriors, the Rock and Roll Express, and Harlem Heat. All right, so with that said, I want to thank you all for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with another Mount Rushmore list, probably Mount Rushmore of factions or managers. My name is Vinny Apsell. You can follow me on Instagram. On Twitter at @VApicella_SWE. Follow SportsWire on Twitter and Instagram at SportsWire Audio. You can go ahead and email me some feedback. Come on now. SportsWireAudio@gmail.com. You can also go to SportsWireAudio.com and go to our Anchor.fm page, which is Anchor, our homepage, and you can go ahead and support the show. And thank you for subscribing. Leave us a 5-star review, and I will be back tomorrow with another Mount Rushmore list. right here on the Sports Wire. Have a great day, everybody.